Where we are today is unrecognizable compared to where we were 2-3 years ago. We're larger, but we're largely the same. We underwrite the same way. We inspect every property. We have the same underwriting discipline. We're just a larger organization, but very much the same SageSure we've been. In 2025, our top line was short of expectations. We were about 10% below where we expected to be going into the year. Market conditions softened slightly more quickly than we had initially expected. As everybody knows, the catastrophe activity besides the wildfires were quite muted. So underwriting results on a cat side were quite good. On the non-cat side, frequency is very low. It is, in fact, in some cases, surprisingly low. Loss ratios continue to be extremely good on the attritional side, and we expect them to continue in 2026 in a very good way. For our overall portfolio, we expect to grow in the mid to high teens in 2026 organically. In light of what we expect to be continued softening market in 2026, there are some things that we're tweaking slightly, but it's largely the same story. We are going to continue with the same exact underwriting posture we've had for years. We're not changing the kind of customers we write. That said, we are slightly moving up market. Values have gone up with our customers, and we're seeing more and more demand for mass affluent solutions. And so as part of our core business, we continue that focus. We're also putting huge investment in our systems and our capabilities that our agents use. They log into what we refer to as our agent portal, as well as the developer experiences, and our partners increasingly are relying on that to be more efficient on their side and to control experiences with their users. And as the market softens, that becomes more and more important to make sure we're number one in the shop with our producers.
As we've grown, essentially nothing's changed on the underwriting side of our operation. We still inspect 100% of the homes we insure. We've inspected more than 1 million homes in the United States over the last decade. We're at a scale today that we inspect more than 250,000 homes every year. We've invested a lot in the infrastructure, the processes, the people, the expertise to do that. It's not easy. It would be a lot easier to stop inspecting some percentage of those homes, to start relying on aerial imagery or other data. We don't. We still believe that it's an essential part of ensuring that we're bringing high quality risks into the portfolio that are priced correctly, that are insured to value, and that meet our underwriting guidelines. One new thing this year for us is using drones for new business inspections. It's important that we have trained inspectors looking for the underwriting hazards we care about. So now we're able to send out inspectors with drones who can get us all of what we need on square footage, on replacement cost, on underwriting hazards, and higher quality images from the drones. Today, in a softening market, the challenge we face is that our underwriting rigor has become a headwind to new business production. That doesn't mean relaxing our underwriting standards, but at the same time, we know we can be easier to work with. When an inspection came back with a higher replacement cost, we automatically took action and increased coverage A to whatever that new replacement cost was. We are now proactively quality controlling all coverage A changes. We have been able to reduce the frequency of change coming through to producers by ensuring that the process is working better. Something new that we launched recently is an innovative partnership with RoofMarketplace. In the event of an underwriting requirement to replace your roof, we're able to put in the customer's hands the names of well-reviewed, licensed roofers who guarantee their work, and with competitive bids. So they have certainty of being able to find a good local roofer, certainty of what the cost will be, and a turnkey path to getting the work done. The North Star of everything we do in claims is eliminating leakage. After the wildfires in Los Angeles, we had claims adjusters placing outbound calls to every policyholder in the affected area from whom we hadn't already heard. And in many cases, they found themselves talking to people who were still evacuated, who didn't know what had happened to their home and were in that period of uncertainty. Well, we were looking at aerial imagery of their homes and were able to share with them information about what had happened. We had multiple policyholders tell us they had public adjusters chasing them down in the days and weeks after the fires, and some great quotes from customers saying, "I was so confident, your adjuster was so fantastic, you reached out to me proactively, I trusted you, I knew you had this, I didn't need a public adjuster to help get a fair outcome on my claim." We've hired a team of re-inspectors in our claims organization over the past year with a focus on doing re-inspections while a claim is open so that we can actually influence the outcome of the claim, not just audit results after the fact. We think in total that takes off about 3 to 4 points of total loss in a future cat event. We, as you'd expect, are applying AI in a number of places in our business. Claims is one of the areas we're doing the most with AI. We're bringing AI online in places where it can eliminate rote work, automate work, make people more efficient. We've deployed voice FNOL. It can take calls instead of a human. The more efficient we can make our adjusters, the easier it is to ensure that the people handling our claims have the expertise and skills they need. That helps us eliminate leakage and generate good outcomes in a future cat event.
One of the questions that I get asked a lot is, why do you have all this complexity? So for SageSure, it was absolutely out of necessity. Going into 2020, we started the process of thinking about forming a reciprocal. We needed the capacity, and the market wasn't going to provide it to us from a primary balance sheet perspective. So we stood it up ourselves. The other side of it is we wanted to stay an MGU. We wanted to keep control of our own destiny. And so borrowing money was a great way to do that. So to be able to get our first bank facility done, then get a syndicated bank facility, and then ultimately to get our partnership with Ares done, we needed to be an MGU. And that model depends on complexity that most people don't have, and full stack carriers really don't benefit from. It became very clear we needed a management team to run some of these balance sheets. Novel really came out of the idea of how do we get SageSure more detangled. We expect SageSure to continue to write business as an MGU, and SageSure's happy to continue to be an investor in these businesses, but it shouldn't own the majority of the economics interest in these businesses, and it shouldn't be in charge of running these businesses. They should run as balance sheets do, and SageSure continues to run as an MGU does. The GeoVera acquisition and the Olympus acquisition were both very much opportunistic type acquisitions that fit into the ethos of SageSure of an underwriting first mindset. And so if you first take the GeoVera one that we closed at the beginning of 2025, that acquisition was a great strategic fit with the earthquake capabilities, a great strategic fit with a management team that's running a balance sheet that's been very successful and has a long history. And it worked out for us both financially and strategically to be able to plug that into the business. John Forney's been great at the GeoVera balance sheet. GeoVera continues to buy reinsurance on its own. Nez, who's been with GeoVera for a long time, joined us at SageSure, and she's been amazing. And we just couldn't be happier with how that acquisition has gone. I'd say it's really exceeded expectations on all counts. Shifting to Olympus, we certainly did not expect in 2025 to be thinking we were going into the Florida admitted market. As many of you know, we have been very cautious about the Florida environment. The advantage of the Olympus acquisition is they've done things differently. Number one, they focused on the mass affluent space, and they've done an incredibly good job at attracting a cross-section customer base. They've really transformed that portfolio and overhauled their products. And secondly, they have an amazing elite repair program. That program where the majority of their claims are settled using vendors who go out under the auspices of Olympus, and they use the right to repair. They had started that elite repair program before the legislative changes. So we feel like if there's a way to go into the Florida admitted market, Olympus has the recipe for that. The results there have been absolutely phenomenal, both from an underwriting perspective and from an MGA perspective. The MGA is coming over to SageSure. We expect to have that run inside the SageSure organization as an MGA. And then on the carrier side, Tim and the team will continue to run the carrier business as they have historically, and they continue to produce great underwriting results. As we think about reinsurers' perspective on SageSure going into 2026, a lot is the same. The underwriting story is the same. Our adherence to inspecting everything, our adherence to insurance to value, our underwriting rigor, our claims capabilities continue to get better. We've continued to make significant investments in claims to be ready for large catastrophe events, which is, of course, a huge impact on our reinsurers.
One thing we hear all the time from our producers is how different it feels to work with us. We're always doing things differently, doing things that are new, bringing new programs forward. That's our DNA. We're continuing to drive to find new and better ways to do things. We have lots of big plans for 2026. Thank you, as always, for your support and what it enables us to do in bringing high quality coverage to our policyholders in these markets.